Okay. Hello, everybody. Uh, Welcome to my panel. Hi. Oh my gosh. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Streaming for Musicians. My name is Doug Perry. We are here at VGM Together. This is a 3-day celebration of video game music, and boy howdy, I cannot believe that we're actually doing this. I'm still a little flummoxed by the entire sequence of events that's gone into the past 2 months, really the past 2 months of preparing for this. But yes, I am one of your co-directors of the event. We have been working like crazy bit behind the scenes to get this ready for you, and in addition to that, I'm also going to be talking to you about how to do exactly what we're doing today from a musician's perspective. So, oh my gosh, thank you all so much for being here. This has been a wild ride. Today we're going to be talking about how to stream if you're a musician. This panel is a presentation that I put together for the university I teach at, actually, and a couple other universities that I've talked to. And is really geared towards musicians who have never streamed before and are interested in delving into this field for really the first time. I'm really excited to get into this. I'm curious. I'd love to see in chat, if you want to sound off, how many of you are musicians, and how many of you have not actually attempted streaming before. I'd love to see if there are folks in chat who are directly interested in doing this sort of thing. I'm sure there are plenty of you also who already have some beginning knowledge to this. Okay, I see some hands going up. This is great. We have musicians, we have babby streamers, we have experienced streamers, we have not musicians. This is great, wonderful. Well then I hope that the things that we go over will help you get on the road to learning how to be a streamer. So, without further ado, sorry, I am making sure that I can see all the things that I need to see all at the same time. Anyway, let me start by telling you a little bit about who I am and what my history is with streaming. So you already know my name. It says it down there. But I started streaming a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when I started noticing this whole platform called twitch.tv evolve and become exciting. I guess technically my first live stream was actually quite a few years before that, maybe in 2011, 2012, when I was in graduate school at the University of Kansas. I was working on a really difficult marimba piece, and I wanted to play it for a friend so that I could practice getting nervous and get some feedback, because this particular friend I knew could play it very well. And I was trying to think like, okay, I am in Kansas, he is in Baltimore. How can I do this in an effective way? And I had started to hear that there were some like websites called like Ustream or livestream.com and stuff like that. And so I figured out how to get it all set up so I could have my microphones over my instrument. I had my very, very bad like internal laptop webcam to do like the worst video feed possible. But at least the music was pretty clear. And I figured out a way so that I could actually just play the piece in real time for him and get feedback from him. And no, I am not a Kansan. I did live there for 2 years while I was a graduate student. So that was technically the first time I ever streamed. When I started seeing what was going on with Twitch, I became a little more interested in it, and was mostly streaming games with my friends. And then one day I had the thought of like, why not set up my microphones again and do like a little concert type thing. I put them in front of the vibraphone one day. It was really fun. I had a great time doing it, and it seemed like people enjoyed it. And then I didn't do it again for like, I don't know, a year or something like that. But then it stayed in the back of my mind, and I remember after that I was thinking, I should try doing that music thing again. I started doing it more and more frequently until before I knew it, I had started doing something that I called Marimba Monday, where I would play marimba once a week for people. And I really enjoyed it. I really felt like I was performing, and I really felt like I was having that, the audience connection, even though it was a different type of audience connection that I enjoyed when I was, performing in real life. Now, that has gone on quite a bit, and since then I've become much more serious about it, and it's become a much bigger part of my career. And while it is obvious that the pandemic had something to do with that over the past year, it was beginning to become a part of my career even before that. And I think it's an important platform and an important way of performing for musicians to be aware of. So, in addition to the fact that we are in trying times, and it is difficult for musicians to perform at this moment, though it seems like things are optimistic, things are going to be getting better. There are a lot of other great reasons to stream as well. Streaming is a great way to develop and curate an audience that you wouldn't be able to access in your immediate locale. The only other way you could do that is by going on tour, and even then, you are really limited to the number of times you're able to connect with the contingencies of your audience in various locations, right? However, when you're streaming, you're able to reach a lot of people simultaneously all over the world. Through this, you can also broaden your network as well. And you have a lot of control over your craft and your content. When you're performing in conventional music settings, such as performing concerts, recitals, playing at restaurants, clubs, bars, background music, being a wedding band, all of the things I'm starting to get into now are situations where you go in and I'm only allowed to play like these types of pieces or like this, this kind of set, so on and so forth. When you stream, you have a lot more control over the content that you want to provide and the programming at which you program it. It's also a great way for musicians to deepen their understanding of music technology. And this is one that's really important because the technological climate that we live in today, especially for music, is constantly changing. It is constantly changing. Things are always evolving and adapting. And it's really, really important for us as musicians to be able to adapt with that as well. Getting into streaming is a great way to dive in headfirst into the realm of recording yourself, video production, audio production, all of these things, even depending on how into like chatbots you get, like light programming and stuff like that. It's really it's a really deep dive. And then lastly, in today's climate, streaming can be a great way to get some income. For some people, streaming is an absolute side hustle, as we would call it, where perhaps they have another more primary line of work in or out of music and a auxiliary line of income, probably a smaller amount through their streaming. For others, streaming is a full-time job. It is 100% of the work that they do. And they invest all of their work hours into working on that platform. For me personally, it's somewhere in the middle. About half of my career right now is being a performer and a teacher. The other half is being a streamer on Twitch. So anyway, let's get into the history of this a little bit. I'd like to talk about the history because I think context is important for why we're doing this. So technically speaking, if we were to talk about what streaming is in its essence and when it first began, really, it comes down to TV and radio. Watching television, listening to the radio, these are sort of the first examples of streaming that we had in our culture as a form of entertainment, right? But like most aspects of technology, the actual accessibility of this technology, both in terms of ease of use and affordability, has gradually become more and more accessible to the general public. This is very similar to recording technology. If you think about the music video, for those of you who grew up in the 90s, I don't want to age myself here, but for those of you who remember things like MTV and VH1, watching a fully produced music video on there seemed like a really incredible endeavor. Now you get these like high school kiddos, like Insane in the Rain music, going like, oh, gee, I'm in high school and I like Pokemon music. I'm going to film myself making it, producing these incredibly elaborate and well-produced music videos. That technology in itself became remarkably accessible compared to how it was just even like 2 decades ago in the 90s, right? Yeah, when MTV actually had music videos, things have changed quite a bit, huh? Anyway, so now we live in a day and age where the capacity to record yourself, the capacity to film yourself, all of these things have become way more accessible and way more user-friendly. And the technology to broadcast yourself has similarly become more accessible and more user-friendly as well. So our journey starts, for all intents and purposes, in March of 2007. A website called Justin.tv sprang up. Justin.tv was started by Justin Khan, who was a live streamer, as it was called. This was a sort of cult fad of content production back then. Live streaming was putting yourself in front of a camera 24/7. In the case of Justin Kahn, he had his camera mounted in a hat. He had a backpack mounted laptop that was, that kept him connected to the internet. He had a chat widget that he had, like a portable chat widget that he was able to use as well, and interact with chat. By that summer, his site had gained a lot of interest from the public, and eventually became a platform for other life casters, other people who are interested in engaging in this sort of I'm going to put a camera on myself 24 hours sort of phenomenon, right? Eventually, this website opened to the public so that anybody could make an account and stream themselves. And similarly, a lot of people decided that they actually didn't want to invest the time into streaming themselves 24 hours at a time, right? That's quite an investment. So they began to branch out into different categories that you can make a channel for different categories of stream channels, right? Like, leisure and outdoors. There is, exercise, arts, and then there was, of course, gaming as well. By 2011, the gaming section of Justin.tv had grown so tremendously that they actually needed to separate it off from that website and turn it into its own website. So they decided to name it after the type of gaming called Twitch gaming. I did not actually look up what that means. If you know what it means, feel free to say it in chat. And they called the website Twitch.tv. All right, February 2014, Twitch Plays Pokemon goes viral. Twitch Plays Pokemon was a particular channel on Twitch.tv where somebody had configured an emulator to input commands from the chat itself to control the main character of the game of Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow. And this led to an absolute viral sensation. You had thousands of people watching at any moment. I did it. I watched it. I went in there. I typed up and down, and if I was feeling really chaotic, start. It was a pretty fun and exciting thing. Thank you, Nick's Mad Science, for that explanation there. Anyway, shortly after Twitch Plays Pokemon went viral, Amazon bought Twitch. Justin TV was taken down so that all efforts and development could be focused around Twitch.tv. By 2015, they had introduced music and creative categories, branching away from strict gaming. In 2017, they introduced IRL categories, which is interesting because what we essentially saw here was a website dedicated to general purpose streaming that funneled itself down to just gaming and then re-expanded itself out of gaming back into general purpose streaming, which is what we have now. In 2016, they introduced cheering and bits, basically the sort of monetization of Twitch. And in 2017, they introduced the affiliate program to help more streamers be able to monetize their content. And that basically leads us to where we are today. So when you think about it, it's really incredible to think that the sort of Twitch climate that we all exist on right now, like literally watching this stream, for all intents and purposes, only really came together within the last 4 or 5 years. It's pretty crazy. So that being said, a lot of other platforms have also come about to offer their own streaming services, such as YouTube, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Twitter Periscope, and even Discord. We also had Mixer, rest in peace Mixer. That is a service that is no longer around. That's too bad. For the purposes of this presentation, I'm going to focus most of what I talk about when I talk about platforms on Twitch, because that is the platform that I use the most for my streaming, and that is the platform that I'm most experienced with streaming on. But that being said, the other platforms are also very important for creating engaging content as well, such as posting VODs and highlights and clips and the like of your streams to YouTube, promoting yourself using services like Instagram and Twitter, so on and so forth. So let's talk about now what you need to stream. This is the fun part. This is where we get into the nitty gritty. So first of all, let's talk about hardware. You're going to need physical things. First, you're really going to need a computer that can handle doing this sort of thing. It is possible to stream from your phone, and there are a lot of streamers that do things like outdoors streams, traveling outdoors, that sort of thing. They'll use their phone to do that. But if you're really serious about streaming, you're probably going to want to use an actual computer. And if you're super hardcore about it, I really recommend having a PC, and perhaps even a custom built PC where you have control over all the internal components. This is a much longer masterclass and one that I'm not prepared to talk about today. But most of the people who are very, very serious about streaming do invest in a PC to do exactly that, because you have much more control over the internal components and can gear that towards exactly what you need. As musicians, and I believe I'm talking to musicians right now, after given that this is streaming for musicians, and if you're not a musician, it's okay. I hope you find this useful. Having a microphone is very important. I recommend that musicians work with an interface. An audio interface is a device that takes your microphone XLR input and converts that data into something that can be transmitted over USB so that it can be connected to your computer. A very popular choice among streamers is the Scarlett 2i2, but it basically looks something like this. You can see this is the input for your microphone here. It has two inputs here so that you could record two different microphones simultaneously if you want to get a stereo recording. And out the back, there is a USB. You can't really see it because it's dark, but there's a USB output that will plug right into your computer. That being said, there are also USB microphones that forego this step. We'll talk about those in a second. As a general recommendation for musicians, obviously different microphones will work better for different instruments, but there are some catch-alls that you can consider. One very popular microphone, not just for musicians, but also for vocalists, podcasters, gaming streamers, so on and so forth, is the Audio-Technica AT2020. I hear this microphone get recommended all the time. As far as an entry-level microphone, it's fairly affordable. It is a cardioid condenser microphone, which means that it picks up a wide range of space around it, so you can set it up in front of your instrument, take a few steps back, and play into it, and have a fairly clear, good sound. I'm seeing people talking about the AT2020 here. Yeah, a lot of people have this. That's great. There is actually a USB version of this microphone as well. Now, let me talk about USB microphones for a second. USB microphones are microphones that actually just plug directly into your computer and forego the use of an audio interface. This is great if you don't ever see yourself using more than one microphone or a different type of microphone at a time. If you are going into streaming thinking, I am never going to make this too complicated for myself, I'm always only going to have one type of microphone, that's all I'm ever going to need, I'm never going to want to change things ever, then maybe a USB microphone is a good choice. But the reason that I recommend working with an interface for musicians is because you may want to upgrade microphones or invest in different microphones for different purposes later on in your career. Having an audio interface gives you more flexibility with the variety of microphones you use. That being said, if you don't want to do that, Blue Yeti is very well known for their wide gamut of USB microphones. This is another very popular microphone among streamers, podcasters, content creators, so on and so forth. It will just plug straight into your computer and it will just work. All right. Similarly, if you're going to be performing as a musician, it's important that you have a camera. People want to see you perform, and when you're performing on a service like Twitch, the visual contributions that you can create through your performance are also very important. So as a starting point, you can get away with using a basic USB webcam just fine. I even know a lot of folks who are able to get away with using the internal built-in webcam on their laptop, let's say, for a while. As far as USB webcams, one that I see a lot of folks use and talk about, and I have this one too, is the Logitech C922. This is another sort of basic entry-level camera. I'll give you a pretty clear picture. It's not the highest quality thing out there, but it certainly works. And if you're streaming at a resolution of 720p, you can get 60 frames per second on this, which means that you'll have a nice, smooth picture if your stream can afford that. So there's the C922. But if you really want to up your camera game, then that's when we want to start talking about capture hardware. Better cameras would include things like the Panasonic Lumix G7. I actually have two of these cameras in my own streaming setup. These are your typical point and shoot cameras that have video capability as well, but they have live HDMI preview, which is what's important. So live HDMI preview means that when you plug an HDMI cable into this, whatever you plug the other end of that HDMI cable into, it will show you whatever the lens is looking at, which is what your stream would be picking up. The caveat to that is that you cannot, in most circumstances, just plug an HDMI cable into your computer. You need some sort of interface for this as well. So some people will turn to actual PCI cards, hardware that you install into your personal computer. I actually have a 4 USB port PCI capture card that I got from Blackmagic, the Blackmagic Deck Link. But since we're talking about more entry-level material here, for a very long time, I was working with the Elgato Camlink. The Elgato Camlink is a small little dongle here that converts your HDMI signal, once again, into USB signal, so you can plug that straight into your computer. And also, yeah, I saw that price tag on the Lumix G7. Let me just note right now that I've never actually seen a store sell that camera for that much. It is almost always on sale for half off. So it's not that bad. And I will also add, I got both of my cameras used. Since you're not taking pictures with this camera, the number of times that shutter has been deployed is not really that big of a concern. So I definitely saved some money by getting my cameras used, and you can too. All right. So anyway, the Camlink is another option for getting that your HDMI camera, your DSLR, your mirrorless or whatever, into your computer. And there are plenty of other options for cameras other than the Lumix G7. Let me be clear about that too. There are a ton of cameras out there that you can use. The G7 is once again another very popular one among streamers, and I see a lot of folks use it. All right. Last couple things to think about. Now that we've talked about your audio setup, we've talked about your video setup. When you're streaming, chat interaction is very important, and monitoring your stream is very important. It's important while you're streaming to be able to see all this stuff happening in front of you while you're going. Right now, I have 4 screens in front of me. Wowee! When I stream on my music stream, I have, I think, 3 screens at any given moment. But you can still get away with just one, just as long as you have your streaming software up there and your chat window. The chat window is really important. Being able to see a clear perspective of your chat window means that you'll be able to interact with your audience in real time, which will help deepen the connection that you have to your audience and create a more exciting, interactive, and engaging stream experience. So I really recommend having either another monitor or maybe a tablet. In some cases, your phone will work if you can put it somewhere where you can see it so that you can constantly interact with chat. Big recommendation for me. You can have a super, super complex setup if you want, but even just a simple screen in front of you will be all you need. All right. So let's talk about software now. There are a lot of different options for software, but I'm going to keep it simple. We're going to talk about Open Broadcaster software, OBS, or OBS Studio in this case, which you should see right there. Here it is. Hello, this is OBS. So OBS is open source software that doesn't cost anything, that you can use to basically get started and stream right away. There are other programs out there too, like XSplit, for example. Twitch Studio is one that Twitch has released as well to help you do this, but OBS is a pretty simple and basic one. I think more than anything else, we should talk about what everything means here. So see this big black square? I'm sorry, I'm like raising my hand. See this big black square in the middle of the screen? This is the scene that everybody will see when you are doing your stream. You can design the stream to include things like your webcam. It can include visual assets that you might want to add. But more than anything, let's make sure that we talk a little bit about how all the settings work so that you know how to set it up. And this is going to be like a very, very quick overview because we don't have a lot of time and we have a lot to talk about. So, the top of OBS is cropped out a bit. That's okay. We can do it live. Here I go. So, whee. Here you go. We did it live. All right. So let's look at the settings really quick. First of all, when you're streaming, you want to make sure you have the right service selected. If you're streaming to Twitch, it's going to be Twitch. Nowadays, OBS allows you to connect your account. So if you click connect account, you can just enter in your Twitch login details and it will connect you to your Twitch account automatically. Otherwise, your Twitch account will also list for you a stream key in the settings. You can enter that stream key in to have a to manually connect yourself to your Twitch account as well. But honestly, the easier thing to do is just connect your account using the Twitch API. That generally works a lot better. Things to be aware of in the output section, your video bitrate is basically how much data is being transmitted per second from your computer. The higher this is, the more data that you are attempting to transmit, and sometimes it might be more data than your internet upload speed can handle. So if you are streaming, if you're interested in streaming, do keep an eye on what your internet upload speed is. I generally recommend making sure that you have an upload speed of at least 5 Mbps or higher. 5 is the absolute minimum. I just know you can do it because I had to do it for a really long time. If you find when you're streaming that you're having trouble getting a continuous stream happening, if you find that your video ends up being really choppy and it has to keep reloading on the other end, it might be because your bitrate is too high and your internet connection is just trying to handle more data than it can. Another thing that's important to know about is the encoder. The encoder is what processes the visuals of your stream. Your computer's internal processor, the CPU, can do this, but if you are a hardcore gamer with a super cool, awesome graphics card, consider setting it to hardware so that you use that instead, giving your computer a little more brain space to work on the rest of the things that it has to do. If you want, you can also set this to record your stream automatically. You can choose the type of format that you record into. The MKV format is the default one, but do be aware that a lot of video software does not recognize this format. There is an option in OBS to remux, which is a way of converting the file container if you want. This is very technical, but this is all to say, if you record at MKV, you might have to do some things after the stream to make it so that you could put it into your video editing software or to make sure that other people can see it when you upload it. It's not that bad, but I'm not going to get too far into that for this. If you're using an external audio device, over here in the audio tab, make sure that your sample rate matches your audio device, or else you will sound very wonky. The pitch of your instrument might go up, it might go down, it might get really, really crackly. It's important to make sure that you match your audio settings to your audio device's settings. And then lastly, we could talk about resolution. So the resolution of the box that we see here on the screen is something that you set right here. We can set it to a lot of different things. Like if I were to set it to 1280 by 1024, that square changes. Boy howdy. Let's put it back, shall we? By default, you'll see it set to 1920 by 1080 and the output set to 1280 by 720. This is a pretty safe place to stay. But you can finagle this if you have special video purposes that you're interested in. The other thing is that you could set your frames per second. If you've got a super slick camera setup and you're capturing beautiful 60 frames a second, feel free to set your FPS over here to that and you'll get a very smooth stream. However, don't forget, this is more data that has to go through the tubes. So if you're worried about your internet connection, you might not want to do this. All right. Anyway, in our scene, we can, I've actually got a few things here. I'm just going to get rid of these because I want to do it myself. The first thing that we're going to want to do is see if we can add your webcam. We do that by clicking video capture device. There it is. Now we have some settings for it. I have a million things here, but I'm going to go ahead to my webcam's name, which is OBS Virtual Camera. Oh, actually, it's just the stream, but we'll pretend that this is your, we'll pretend that this is your actual face, right? Also, I just realized I forgot to change the resolution back. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Go back to normal, please. Thank you. Here we are. Now we've got your beautiful face, or in this case, tunnel vision. The next thing we have to do is make sure you have the right microphone selected. So over here, we see mic/aux. We can do that by clicking on our properties and selecting the right audio device. Here it is for me. Now that I've done that, you can see the audio monitoring down here. This means your stream is picking up audio, and anything going into your microphone will be transmitted through the stream. Desktop audio is another one that you'll want to set to make sure that you've got the right audio device selected. If you are intending to play along to music of any sort, or if you want to have alerts pop up on your stream, you'll want to make sure that that is set to your audio device as well. So with a video feed, with your microphone set up, and your desktop audio device set up, you are now ready to stream. But if you go to set this up and you go, there's nothing here, I don't understand what's going on, how do I make this work? Never fear. Go to your settings, go to audio, and check over here to make sure nothing's been disabled. If it has been disabled, you can set it to what you want it to be set to on your settings menu on the audio tab. All right. So now that we've done all that, and I apologize once again for the sort of fast-paced, super flash speed run through OBS. It would take a much longer time for me to really get into full detail here. Now let's talk about the kind of material that you might want to stream. What do you stream on Twitch? Well, the answer is whatever you want. So, let me find my window here. There are a lot of different types of streams that I've seen, and I wanted to show you a few examples of music streamers and the way they set up not just their presentation, but also the kinds of things that they perform. So let's talk about the layout and the production of your stream. You don't really need to have a ton on your stream. There are some fantastic streamers that really have very little happening on their stream and pay more attention to making sure that the studio environment that they're streaming in has been laid out in a way that they enjoy. Sanganuna is a pianist who is a great example of this. I'm going to go ahead and switch to Twitch for a second. Sanganuna's setup is very simple. We just see the piano here. We see a nice, lovely studio space, a very cozy environment. The focus is entirely on her playing. But you notice the camera quality is very nice, right? It's a really lovely stream. So that being said, it can also be very complex. I'm going to go ahead and go over to YouTube for a second. This streamer unfortunately started taking down their VODs and highlights like many streamers have done with the threat of DMCA, which we might not talk about. Maybe we will. This is Mitch Bruzes. Mitch does these incredibly elaborate productions. He's got multiple cameras set up. He's got all sorts of lights and stuff. We're going to see Mitch is moving around here. This is like a really, really beautiful setup here where he's got lights inside the drums. He's got pads and stuff set up to like ready to go. The cameras will switch on their own. He can actually control when they switch. It's really, really quite elaborate. So let me talk about, in contrast to this, what my setup looks like. Now I'm showing one of my VODs. Here's my stream. So you see I have a camera in the corner of my room. It's got a fisheye lens so that I can pick up most of the room that I am streaming in. I've got some lights in the background that are some LEDs, to add some ambiance, both in the background and actually under the marimba as well. I've got a few spotlights on me so that I can better light myself while I'm playing. And you can see all the instruments that I have in the area, as well as things like the names of subscribers that have been written on some of the marimba bars in the background. If you look very carefully on the left side, you can see a sneak peek at some of my monitors that I'm looking at to monitor the stream and chat while I'm playing. And then, of course, tons of video game paraphernalia all over the place. You got plushies, you got posters, you got art, all sorts of stuff like that, right? So this is from your perspective. Here's what it looks like from my perspective. Ta-da! So when I'm streaming, I have a television right in front of me, as well as another monitor over on the left side. You can see where my microphones are placed. I actually normally have a tablet set up right here. I don't have it in this picture. You see some of my instruments over here. And then also not pictured, I have a webcam velcroed to the ceiling above my vibraphone, as well as another camera basically rubber banded to this mic stand so that I can get for top-down perspectives of the instruments themselves. All right. So the layout of your stream, the visual presentation of your stream, will be a combination of what your actual studio setting itself looks like and the types of visual assets that you put on your stream. So going back to mine for a moment, you could see the way I've laid some of these out here. You can see that I've got a frame set up so you can see a split camera perspective of all the different instruments that I have, all those camera angles. You can see that I've got a chat widget over here, input that is displaying things that people say to me while I'm streaming. I've got some branding in the upper left-hand corner. I have a widget that says whether or not requests are open and closed, so on, so forth. Okay, the last couple things that I wanted to talk about are the types of formats of musical presentations you can provide. When you're streaming on Twitch, it's really up to you. There are so many things that you can do, but I thought I'd make note of a couple. One very popular choice is to play along to requests. A streamer asks you to play a piece of audio on stream and play over it. I'm sorry, somebody in your chat or a viewer asks you to play over some audio. Now, you have to be careful of this because with the threat of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, it is possible that audio that you play might be copyrighted and could subject you to some sort of takedown. For that reason, do be careful about the kind of audio that you play over. Here at VGM Together, we are providing you with lots of video game music because video game music is streamed on Twitch all the time. As a result of the fact that you stream games on Twitch. So here's an example of Patrick Bartley of the J Music Ensemble playing over some Splatoon music. This is Patrick Bartley of the J Music Band. Incredible musician, just absolutely incredible musician. Yeah, everybody's favorite, definitely not controversial law, exactly. So this being said, maybe playing over tunes is not your vibe. Maybe you like to do the whole, singer-songwriter thing, or maybe you're a well-established cover artist that has a wide repertoire of tunes and you want to sit down with your guitar or piano and just sing and play some tunes. That's also a very popular format. Here's Christy Cates. And Christy Cates' setup is cool because she'll often use a green screen. Oops, I gotta turn the sound on. To put herself anywhere. I think this is a St. Patrick's Day stream that I picked out here. So you can see, clear audio, clear guitar, no backtrack or anything like that. It's all just her right here at this moment. For you classical musicians out there, what if you really just want to do the good old-fashioned classical recital format? That's possible too. Unfortunately, we don't hear her playing, but here's a clip from a recent recital that Storiani Girl put on her Twitch channel. She said most of this got taken down because her playing, well, I'm saying this, her playing is so good that it sounds like commercially released recordings, so Twitch kept muting her VODs. But you can see the format here is just like you would see at a classical recital. You just, you have the pianist, you have your soloist, sheet music there, limited chat interaction, presenting pieces one after the other. There are a lot of folks who will stream music production as well, which is cool because then you cross into the educational aspect of what a music stream might be like. Here's Glitch City working on a track right now, explaining to chat what she's doing in addition to, interacting and just bantering with chat in general.
I decided to just go
one particularly interesting format that I've seen only a couple times is the practice room format. Here is classical guitarist Cactus Room streaming himself practicing, getting ready for auditions and stuff like that, playing along to a metronome and talking to chat periodically as he goes. He's got multiple camera angles so you can really see everything that he's doing, and he's got like a timer down there to show how long he's been practicing. And so he practices a couple times, responds to chat a little bit, and then he'll play, so on and so forth. Lastly, if you've got a band and you're in a situation where you can safely congregate, performing as a band is also a very common way of performing on Twitch. Here's the band Livy in the Middle performing one of their tunes They're a British ensemble. They'll take requests as well, but they all get together and perform as a band, and that's their primary output as Twitch musicians. So, yeah, they're really, really great. Anyway, there is so much more that I could say about streaming on Twitch, but we're actually running very close to being out of time. So before we wrap things up, I would like to just take a few seconds to take a look at chat and see if there are any questions that come up. I know there's going to be a little bit of a delay between what I see and hear, or what I see in Twitch and what you all hear. But if I'll be looking over there to see if there are any questions that come up. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I forgot. This isn't until 4. This is until 4:15, isn't it? We do have more time. Yes. Okay, great. So, oh my gosh, I'm so used to being on the hour. Okay, wonderful. So okay, then before I wrap things up, then that is great news. I'm so glad I have more time. I could talk about a few other things that I think are useful for you guys. If you're streaming on Twitch and you want to work with a song list, consider looking into a website called Streamer Song List. Streamer Song List is an automated queuing system where you can put up all the music that you know, and it will generate a song list and a request system for you so that viewers can pull requests from the system, and it'll organize them for you and give you control over how you want that displayed as well. I think also we should talk a little bit about some Twitch terminology if you're not familiar with the terminology there. When we're talking about making money on Twitch, there are 2 different tiers of that. There's Twitch affiliate and there's Twitch partner. Twitch affiliates are the first tier of monetization on Twitch, which is a little more limited in what you're able to access, but you are able to have people subscribe to your stream, which means having viewers pay a monthly fee to support you. Viewers are able to cheer in your stream, which is using bits, Twitch's in-platform currency, to tip streamers directly. And they will also get a small percentage of ad revenue as well. The benefits of monetization on Twitch go up significantly if a streamer reaches partner status, where they are able to have access to things like more emotes, more control over stream quality settings, and I think there's a different ad partnership there as well. So when you hear people talk about being Twitch affiliates or Twitch partners, what they are talking about are being monetized Twitch streamers who you are able to support monetarily. vgmtogether is not a Twitch affiliate or a Twitch partner because we made this account like 2 months ago and we haven't streamed on it. So that's for that reason, that's why you don't see those options on our stream. So when talking about supporting streamers this way, when we're talking about subscribing to a streamer, that is where you're able to choose between a $5, $10, or $25 subscription membership to their channel. Half of this subscription fee goes to Twitch. The other half of this goes to the streamer. When using bits to support a streamer, 1 bit equals 1 cent, and 100% of those bits go directly to the streamer. However, when you purchase bits, Twitch does take an overhead fee from that. This is just to explain the way that Twitch is able to operate as a business that are using these features as well. It's also important to talk about hosting and rating because sometimes this is a confusing thing for first timers to Twitch. A host is when you intentionally have somebody else's stream be placed on your Twitch channel page. That means when you are not streaming, instead of seeing nothing on your page, they will see somebody else's stream. This is a great way to try to boost visibility to other streamers. A raid is something that you might consider doing at the end of your stream, where you take your entire viewership that is with you at the time and jettison everybody directly into somebody else's stream. This is a fun and exciting way to interact with other streamers, to help your community develop new connections, and to even develop new networks and connections yourself as a streamer. Similarly to the subject of Twitch affiliate and Twitch partner statuses, there are the option to have custom emotes. Emotes are basically custom-made emoji that you're able to upload to your Twitch page. This is important when it comes to branding because you can use these custom emotes to help define what your particular brand is and to make your community that views you feel a little more united. All right. A few other things to talk about if you're interested in streaming on Twitch. If you are a musician who is used to going to gigs, let's say you're a professional musician and you are used to the gigging lifestyle where you show up, you play your part, and then you leave at the end of the day, Twitch is definitely a very different experience than that. So on Twitch, community engagement and interaction is a very important thing. And the people who support you will support you for more reasons than just your playing. The music you play is, of course, an important part of your programming. For most of us musicians, that's the central core to our programming. But in addition to music, people are going to be coming to get to know you as a personality. They're going to begin to get to know each other as they get to know the other viewers in your stream. And if you do this enough, you may start to develop a community. That community is also going to be a very important part of your experience here on Twitch as you get to know viewers who become regulars to your stream and then eventually become perhaps supporters as well. If we were to compare this to performing in real life, this is very similar to having like one group of people that comes to every show you play. This is one of the reasons why I talk so much about how chat interaction is very important. As a streamer, you'll find that it's very important for you to get to know your audience as well. And the connections that you develop with your audience, even while you're playing, is a much more direct connection than it is when you're performing in a concert hall, let's say. Similarly, the consistency of your programming is also important. If you say you're going to stream at a particular day and time, then you should really do that. And if you say you're going to do it regularly, you should really do it regularly. Just like you would be shocked if you're waking up in the morning, it's time to watch Blue's Clues. If you go turn on Nick Jr. and Blue's Clues isn't on and there's no explanation for why it's not on, even though everything in your life has said it's going to be on, it's going to be really confusing and potentially very upsetting that you don't get to watch Blue's Clues that morning, right? So consistency when you stream as a musician is also very important. If you say you're going to stream, every Wednesday at 6, people are going to expect you to stream every Wednesday at 6, and in some cases will even put it in their calendars and form their personal schedules around that sort of thing. And then lastly, there's Discord. If you really are finding that the streaming thing is becoming a consistent part of your life and it's something that you want to be doing a lot, Discord is a very valuable means to help bring your community together and give them a space to interact in real time. Discord is one of the many other platforms that as a streamer you may consider wanting to utilize, just like perhaps using YouTube as a place to archive recordings and perhaps even producing more fleshed out renditions of the music that you would play on Twitch. This goes back to the whole community thing. It is not uncommon at all for the idea of a community to form around a streamer of any sort, whether it's a musician, an artist, a gamer, a programmer, somebody who just streams themselves eating ramen at various ramen restaurants. I don't know. If you do it consistently enough and people enjoy watching the content, they'll stick around and they'll want to get to know you a little more. So I really, really cannot stress enough how important the community aspect to Twitch is, and to streaming is. And that is also a thing that you need to, keep track of as well. Actually, Nick is bringing up a good point. Yeah. If it can be more work to keep a community like that active if you're going to use Discord, but if you use it well, it's a really valuable resource that after a while will even begin to run itself. And lastly, I think the biggest and most important thing that I would like to depart on everyone when starting down the path of streaming is to just have fun, take chances, be yourself, and don't wait. I think one thing that holds up a lot of folks, especially musicians who are used to, I don't want to do this until I know it's absolutely perfect. I think something that really holds people up is the fear that their first Twitch stream won't be perfect. And let me tell you, if the bumper before this stream segment was any indication of this, your first stream will not be perfect. It will absolutely not be perfect. No matter what you do, no matter how much you prepare, something is going to go wrong, and it will or will not be your fault. So for example, like right before this, I put up the wrong bumper. So that's VGM Together's example of the first stream going wrong. But it is so important. It is so important that you just try to do it anyway. It's so important that you get going, because practice makes perfect, and streaming is something you have to practice too. And you can't practice streaming unless you put yourself in front of the camera and you just do it. You have to go out there. You have to say hi to everybody. Be excited about what you're about to do, and stumble around with as much enthusiasm and passion as you can, because things will go wrong, and that's okay. All you have to do is make note of what went wrong. Think of even just one thing that you'd want to fix for next time. Make a note of that, see if you can do it, and then try again next time. I promise you, if you watch any great streamer, no matter how well-oiled their stream looks, if you look through their stream history, if you go back to the very first piece of content they put out there, it is going to look way different than what you see now. It's so important that if you want to try streaming music on Twitch or on any platform, don't worry about having the absolute perfect setup with all the best gear and having your layout be pristine and making sure that the format is going to be like spick and span. No, just go out there and do it. I really, really cannot stress that enough. So, all right. Now that I've gone through that rant, we haven't rated yet. Nor will we after this segment. Now that we've gone through that rant, I would love to take some questions if anybody has questions about anything that I've talked about today. I did see a couple questions come up from the false alarm earlier when I thought that I was almost out of time. I'm scrolling up really quick. Actually, I just saw, I'm going to scroll down to see what's there, but I just saw, what is the value of great moderators? And that's a great question, Nick, and that's something I should have talked about. As you develop your stream, you're going to notice that you can't keep track of anything yourself. Moderation team is a very important thing. Moderators, from my experience, are reliable, passionate, and reliable and passionate members of your community who are interested in contributing to the product itself. Moderators do things on the Twitch side, such as keeping an eye on your chat, making sure that nobody's misbehaving, helping you mitigate things like trolls or other people who intend to disrupt your stream. They're often given the powers to kick, ban, delete things, so on and so forth. When you first start, you might not feel the need to have a ton of moderators if you don't have a lot of people watching your stream. But as you begin to develop viewership, having a team of moderators is going to be very important so that you can focus on the content that you are creating, and the moderators can help take care of things behind the scenes. I don't know if I can speak well enough on the skills needed to moderate adequately, but some of my moderators are in here, including Nudge, who Nudge is the co-director of this event with me. One of the reasons that I wanted to work with Nudge on this event is because of the incredibly thorough job Nudge does when moderating a Twitch stream. Hilariously enough, Bruno is another one of my moderators who is our moderation lead for VGM Together. So there's some experience here. McAfee is as well. So moderation is very important because your moderators will not just help you keep track of what's going on in your chat and making sure that everybody's behaving themselves, but they can also assist you behind the scenes as well. My moderators help me keep track of my song request list. They help me keep track of, if something goes wrong in the stream, I'll get a message from one of them that says do this or do that, or you need to change this. in my request system in particular, it's quite complicated. So while I'm playing, I will see my moderators changing things in like the list spreadsheet so that I know what to play when. It can become a very elaborate system if you want / need it to. But I would say like the best moderators that you can choose are people you trust, people who are passionate about the work that you do, and people who genuinely want to contribute to your stream itself. I think those are some of the most important elements that you can ask for from a moderator. Anyway, I want to start looking at some more questions here. Ongaku Overdrive. I have a Yeti Blue mic and it sounds harsh when I speak on stream. Should I get a better mic, or are there settings I can change? Ongaku Overdrive, before you buy a new microphone, always check your settings. Make sure that your microphone's volume is not too high. And in OBS itself, there are filters that you can use to adjust the audio levels of your microphone. One filter that you might want to consider researching is a filter called a compressor. A compressor limits the dynamic range of your microphone so that it can only go so high or so low. Using a compressor can help keep you from overblowing your microphone or overblowing your audio feed in case you tend to speak dynamically. I won't go into too much detail about how to use a compressor though. There are a ton of OBS tutorials out there. I bet you'll be able to find something on YouTube if you look up OBS compressor tutorial or something like that. What is something you wish? This is from Andy Rue VGM. What is something you wish you knew about streaming when you first started? Gosh, honestly, I think like probably consistency would be one of the big things. I think I wish I had a better understanding about the importance of consistency and developing a schedule. I probably would have started streaming music a lot earlier if I had. And then actually the other thing is it's the advice that I gave to everyone. Honestly, I say that because I wish I could give it to myself many years ago. I think for a while I was very nervous about streaming because I was worried that it wasn't going to be perfect. And I sort of belabored starting streaming because I was thinking like, oh, I don't know if my mics are good enough. I don't know if the camera's good enough. I don't know how to set this up. I don't have time to do this. I wish I had taken more of a dive into just getting right into it and doing it. That's why it's really important to me. All right, I want to look at some more. Okay, great question from There Is No Easy Mode. Just starting out, there's definitely some investment you need to put into things. If you're on a tight budget starting out, what expenses would you prioritize? As a musician, microphone. That is honestly the first thing that I would say to invest in. Assuming that your stream is capable of running, or your computer is capable of running a stream. I think that if we're having this conversation at all, I would imagine that we've started with step one, make sure you have a computer that can do this. And there are a lot of settings that you can change, especially if you're willing to, go on some YouTube tutorial deep dives to get under the hood of OBS a little bit about how to optimize settings. But so assuming that you've got a computer that is capable of running the stream in the first place, for a musician, I would recommend investing in the microphone and the audio quality of your stream first. Because even if your video quality isn't like perfect, just the fact that they're able to see you, but then can also hear really, really great audio is really important. If you're not a musician, then honestly, having a clear camera feed is the next thing that I would prioritize. I'm going to keep looking at stuff. Talk about the process by which you expanded your setup. When did you add more screens, more cameras? What was your thinking as far as what you needed when? This was asked by Israfel Cello. Thank you for that question. That's great. My very first stream setup ever was a pair of microphones over my marimba and one tablet that I could look at for chat. So start with just the microphone, the one screen so that you can look at chat, and the one camera. That's the first thing that I would recommend. As your needs increase, I think like as a percussionist, I needed to get more microphones. That was probably the next thing for me because I had multiple instruments that I wanted to use. So I had to invest in more audio things so that I could have more microphone feeds running simultaneously. But I know this isn't the case for most instrumentalists. If you're playing just a solo instrument, then perhaps maybe the next thing that you would want to upgrade after you have your initial setup might be your camera so that you have a better visual presentation of your stream. And then, depending on how many features you're interested in exploring, you might find that, oh, I'm having trouble juggling between looking at chat and looking at my song list, or maybe I've got my chat on my phone, but it's really tiny and I have trouble reading it. Then from that point, you might want to invest in getting another monitor so that you can see that. The best way to know this for sure, though, once again, is by just jumping in and trying, because it'll become very clear to you by the end of your stream what you wish you had while you were streaming that particular time. You'll say like, oh, I wish I had this or that or the other thing, you know. That's probably going to be your best barometer there. Okay. I think I'm now actually out of time. So thanks everybody so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here at VGM Together. Here on the panels page, we've got David Piano coming up next with VG lead sheets transcribing. Darren Korb and Ashley Barrett are over on our music channel right now. And if you're in Discord, please consider signing up for some games and community activities if you haven't already. If you're not in our Discord, go hop into our Discord. That is our social hub for the whole event. We're going to be playing games. We're going to be doing things like scavenger hunts, and we got raffles going on. We got all sorts of fun things to do that may or may not involve our VR chat worlds as well. We hope you enjoy the event as a whole. We're so excited that we can present this to you all. And I think I can safely speak on behalf of Nudge when I say from the bottom of the hearts, it means the world to us that you are here with us during this event. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and sign off and get the next segment ready. Thanks for tuning into VGM Together, and we will we'll see you over at David Piano. I hope